Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Look at this constellation of superstars in the corporate sector on the stage here. First of all, how about a round of applause for these phenomenal CEOs and MDs? I hope you're recaffeinated and you've had something to eat. It is time for the CEO Insights. This is your exclusive peek into the boardrooms of Australia's most respected companies and their transformative access and inclusion journeys. Representing different sectors, this powerhouse panel brings a rich tapestry of insights, experiences and strategies to give you a holistic view of the inclusive practices shaping Australia's biggest brands. Please welcome back to the stage Chair of Australian Disability Network, Peter Wilson.
Thank you, Tracy, and good morning again, everyone. It does give me very great pleasure today to introduce to you what we think will be quite a historic occasion. That's where the Australian Disability Network has hosted some of Australia's leading CEOs of our biggest corporations to talk about their challenges and their experiences with disability inclusion in the workplace. I'm equally delighted that our friend and colleague Carolyn Casey, the CEO of the Valuable 500, has flown in from Dublin to moderate today's session and has great experience in talking with CEOs about this very topic. I would particularly like to thank our panel members for offering their time today to be part of this, and in particular I'd like to introduce them to you now. On my left is Paul Graham, the CEO of Australia Post. Paul, I would like to attribute, was instrumental in getting the CEO panel together. I was the first to be asked and accepted, played a great role in getting his colleagues to come and join us. We also have Leah Weckert, the CEO of Coles, who, as you know, that you went to the awards last night, was a top performer on the Access and Inclusion Index, which is the most profound compass an organisation can take on to measure its disability inclusion performance. We also have Paul Scurrah, the CEO of Pacific National, and we have Vanessa Hudson, the CEO of Qantas, and finally David Koskar, CEO of Medibank. These organisations reflect a mix of those who are well advanced in their journey on disability inclusion and others that have been strongly committed to take significant steps but are here in part to talk with their colleagues and learn from each other to advance their progress in disability inclusion. Based on the evidence available, I think we have strong confidence that these organisations will help lead Australia further in this very important challenge. So now I'd like to pass over to Carolyn Casey to take us through the session. Thank you, Carolyn.
Thanks a million, Peter. Good morning, everyone, both in the room and a big wave to 300 people online. I am absolutely thrilled to be here today. I would have flown to the ends of the earth to have a conversation with CEOs of business. And the reason for that is that we truly know that the decisions that CEOs make affect the culture of their organisations. As John Amachi would say, leaders make choices and those choices create culture. I'm known as a sort of like a CEO hunter. I will find you and track you down. I'm the troublemaker behind the Valuable 500, which is the world's biggest CEO collective of 500 company CEOs who are working together to end disability exclusion through business. We believe that inclusive business creates inclusive societies. What business values, society will follow. And it is imperative that to create those inclusive business is the inclusive leaders. But it's really important to say any leader working and committed to this space is like any of us on a journey. They don't have all the answers. None of us actually do. So in this conversation tonight or today, wherever you are in the world, I am asking that we make it confidential. We would like to ensure that this conversation is a safe space for our CEOs in the same way we as employees of organisations ask and demand for a safe space for us to be honest. It is a Chatham House rules, so for everybody both online and in the room, we ask that you do not retweet or put on social media anything that is part of this conversation, because we're here as real human beings. And in that way as well, I am also wanting to say that I'm going to give you an audio description. I myself am registered blind with about half a foot vision, and for those of you in the room who do not have vision or who have not got their videos on, I am a 52-year-old white woman from Ireland with very white blonde hair, black round glasses like Edna from The Incredibles, a electric green gingham suit, please don't ask why, I just like it, and electric purple boots. So that's me. I'm often asked how we got 500 CEOs to give their signature and personal commitment at board level around the performance of disability in their businesses. And the answer is lots of things, lots, but the two big things is actually about appealing to the person that's on top of the organisation, both with the head and a heart. And I thought I'd like to open up today's conversation with each of our 5 leaders, because they are mothers or fathers, sisters or brothers, aunts and uncles, and they're humans. And I wanted to ask each of them why they chose to be here today. Because each of them chose to be here today, unless Paul Ballywrite them into it. But each of them chose to be here today. And I was just going to ask each of you to do an audio description. So for those of you who can't see you, and just to say why you chose to sit in this chair in a very, very busy schedule. So David, over to you.
Great. Thanks, Caroline, and it's great to be here. Thanks, Paul, for getting us together, and to Corinne and the team as well. I think for me, look, at one level as a company, our vision is the best health and wellbeing for Australia. A very big part of that is improving experiences for everyone, better outcomes, but also reducing inequity. And to be true to that promise, we need to look inside our organisation and say, how can we create an environment where everyone can contribute and we can support in their personal ambition? That's the sort of the company bit. The personal bit is, for me, I guess, going through business. You look at these CEO roles and, they're sort of a bit interesting in that when I was starting off, they were typically people that wanted to be in power to make big decisions and to attribute success to themselves. I think the role of people in leadership is to provide an opportunity for voices to be heard that otherwise aren't heard, and to create an environment where people together can succeed and create amazing things. So I think that is something that I've probably really grown to appreciate over the last 5 to 10 years, more so than the start. And I think part of that is the opportunity that we have in these roles to listen and learn to people, to understand their stories and to really understand what's holding them back, which is usually the company, in realising their personal potential. And I speak a lot with my daughters, my sister-in-law who has worked in a variety of organisations, has Down syndrome. I see her story and journey, and as a sort of contributor to life, I'd like to see what we can do as an organisation and me to further things. Again, like Caroline said, not all the answers. The best thing I've ever done is listen and learn and understand. So I'm hopefully going to continue to listen and learn and understand today. And to complete, which I should have said at the start, I'm almost 52. I'd say late 40s, but I'm almost 52. I'm wearing a dark suit, which is pretty standard. I don't have a very wide dress code. And you won't notice if you see me sitting down, but I'm 6'7", and used to sort of be young and vibrant. There you go.
Thank you. Thanks a million, David. Okay, Vanessa, why are you here? I get exactly like personally, professionally, because you're giving up your time, and you're only 8 months in role as well, which actually, can I just say, of this panel, this is an experienced panel, but there are 3 years in role, 8 months in role, 12 months in role. So you're here 8 months and you've given up some of your day. Come on, why are you here?
Well, absolutely. I think there's two parts to my answer. One will be the role I have as CEO of Qantas, and then the other one will be the role I have as the mother of 2 daughters who have had very significant mental health issues as they've grown up. And so firstly, why am I here as the CEO of Qantas? Flying can be stressful for everyone. I know that, and when you have a disability, it can be more stressful. When things are going well, that's one thing, but when things don't go to plan, which often happens, we need, as an airline, to be better every day, to challenge ourselves. And one of the mottos that we have as a leadership team, whether you are a customer, whether you are a community partner, whether you are someone who works at Qantas, every moment matters. And as leaders, we have to recognise that our job is to listen, is to constantly strive to do better for our people, their experience in the workplace. Diversity matters. The more voices we have, the better, the stronger the organisation we will be. And being a part of conversations like this today is an important part of us listening, hearing, and that rich feedback that comes, I believe, ultimately will make us better. And then secondly, I think that, as I said, I've had probably 7 years of really hard parenting of 2 girls, one of them who was desperately sick with an eating disorder. And I can even still see the anxiety and the mental stress that she has that's hidden. And I can see how she struggles in the world as well. So whether it's a visible or physical disability, or whether that it's inside, we have to, as humans, talk more about it, recognise it, and make sure that the environments that we are in accommodate everyone and everyone's needs. And if I was to describe myself, I'm 54, white female. I'm in, yes, black corporate attire as well. I don't have purple boots on, but I'm very jealous of the purple boots, so I'm going to take them with me. And it's fantastic to be here today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I hear everybody in Melbourne wears black. Somebody was saying to me, black's the colour, so I think I could definitely stand out as the Irish chick. Paul, tell us about you. Why are you sitting here today with us?
Well, I'll tell you how others have described me, then I'll describe myself in a moment. But I used to get described as the Blue Wiggle quite a lot.
Sorry, the what?
The Blue Wiggle.
If everybody heard the Blue Wiggle.
And given the laughter, I think you might think that might be somewhat true. Yeah.
Oh my God, seriously?
I wish I had his money, by the way. But I'm a mid-50s white male, rapidly greying hair. I'm wearing a blue jacket and chinos and boots, and wish I looked like Bradley Cooper, not the Blue Wiggle, but I don't. Why am I here? Like my colleagues here, it is really the right thing to do, but there's much more passion in what we've heard now that means that there's more in it than just doing the right thing. So as far as we have come as a country, and as much as we have done, we've still got so much more to do. So at the company I'm running now, at Pacific National, we have a program called the P&A, which is our Blueprint for Success, and it's not just about financial success, it's how do we actually knock it out of the park on all the things that really matter now. So it used to be called the triple bottom line, now it's social responsibility, all of those things that are very important. In the P&A, we have a people and leadership pillar, which is about making sure it's the best place to work for all the people, and a big part of that is leadership. We have a community pillar about how we do this, not just for ourselves, but for those who visit us, customers or suppliers. And we're really proud of how that goes into our inclusion and diversity approach around the way we adjust our workplaces, the way we're coming at it from an access point of view, and not just in the traditional well-known disability areas, but all of the various different areas that we all know are being addressed today. On the personal front, a bit like Vanessa, I have 2 daughters, and one of whom has had her struggles with neurodivergence, which also led to me discovering just 12 months ago that I'm also a neurodivergent. And have struggled for many, many years, as it turns out. That makes a lot more sense with adult ADHD. And my daughter was diagnosed with what was called at the time a AAA, autism, ADHD and anxiety. And so it's been quite the journey for me personally, and knowing that the focus on workplaces around how hearing audible things and noise can impact your thinking is now of even more interest to me personally.
Thank you. Leah.
Hello, Carol.
Hi, lovely to have you. Let's hear about why you're in the chair today.
Well, let me start with my audio. So I'm a woman, white, in her 40s, brown hair but with a fair smattering of grey coming through, and my signature is my glasses plus my pearl earrings plus my red lipstick.
Nice description.
And a very boring blue corporate suit. So that's my audio. Why am I here? Well, like everyone else that's spoken so far, there's really 2 elements to it. There's the professional side and the personal side. So Coles is one of Australia's largest employers. We have 120,000 people that work for us all around the country. And so, as you would expect in a workforce like that, we represent every part and every different type of person there is in our community. I had the privilege of going out and doing a national listening tour around the country when I first stepped into the CEO role 12 months ago. And one of the things I think that surprised me on that tour is when we talked about what was important within the Coles culture, the number one thing every time was around diversity and inclusion. And our leaders to the teams that work on our checkouts and put things on shelves, all the way up to our ELT, that is what is seen in our business as the number one thing we have to get right. And so having a workplace which is highly inclusive is incredibly important to engaging that workforce and getting them excited about coming into work every day. And then on the personal side, so when I was 13, I was diagnosed with a severe case of scoliosis, which is curvature of the spine. And so from the age of 13 to 18, I wore a full-body Boston brace all through my high school years, which was basically like a torso brace that encompassed your body and hips, and then had metal bars that came up under my neck and under my arms. And that certainly taught me that at high school, when you look different, you get treated different. And it taught me a huge amount about resilience, and it taught me a huge amount about who I am as a person. But it also left me in a place that, as I've increasingly had more ability to influence workplace cultures, to make sure that we are making them places where it doesn't matter what you bring. We want to create an environment where what you bring can be a great contribution. And that's really important to me personally because of that lived experience I've had.
Thank you. Paul, last but not least. Yeah, go on. Last but not least, Paul,
Thank you. Yes, I'll do the audio first. I'm a white, grey-haired male in his early 60s. I've got the standard combo of white shirt and blue suit. However, I do wear colourful socks, which is sort of my signature. And homage
What
to
colour today?
homage to Caroline today. I'm wearing my green ones.
Oh, thank you.
There you go. But in response on the business side of things, we're a large organisation. We are present in every single community in Australia as Australia Post, and we reflect statistically what Australia is in terms of all the stats that you would place on a country. And one of the things that I really discovered was fantastic about Australia Post when I came in is that focus on inclusivity and diversity is really deep within the organisation. We've about 6% of our team members are people with a acknowledged disability. We believe it's probably double that, but again, continuing to remove the stigma and encourage people to put their hand up. But it's really, really important as a key foundational element of our organisation. One, because we are in every community. Secondly, because we have a high population of people with a disability. But the most important thing is our people care about it. I'm here today because it's important to our people that we actually don't just say things, but we actually actively put in place the best environment we can for everybody to come to work at Australia Post as their true self and knowing that they've got an equal opportunity to advance or flourish as anybody else has. And it really is a deep-seated part of the DNA of Australia Post and has been for a very, very long time. So what's important to our people should be important to us as leaders, and what's important to our communities should be important to us as leaders as well. So that just makes good business sense, but also because of our reach and our scale and the brands that we all represent, it also means that we can influence outcomes in those communities on a day-to-day basis, and that's what's critically important. On the personal front, I've had a lot of exposure to adults with disabilities. My father's the patron of a charity called WINGAP and has been for 40 years involved with that, and as a family we've been involved with it for 40 years as well. He's 85 today, by the way. Happy birthday, Dad. He's still kicking along. But that really, in those days, a lot of people with disability in the area that we live in were not given access to services. They were staying at home, didn't have a lot of activity that they're able to do. And part of what WINGAP has done is actually bring people out into the community, create meaningful work, living in the community in accommodation that obviously allows people to have accessibility. And that's been a really important part. We have a lot of activities. We play an annual soccer match with WINGAP. They always win, by the way. But that really impactful understanding of the individual nature of everybody's challenges in life, and how do we make that better by creating, first of all, the right environment, but also looking at what can be done, whether it be through government, whether it be through community groups, or indeed through business, to ensure that in some cases what seems a very small thing can actually be a huge significance to allow someone to flourish. So that's the personal side of it.
Well, thank you all of you, just for being humans first in this conversation and not doing the corporate spiel. I just want to say thank you, because in the reality is the more we speak about our own experience, we give permission to others. And I think hearing all of you personally why you're here, and you really are here because you chose to be. So thank you, all of you, very much. Now we're going to do more about the opportunities that are existing, or some of the things that are out there. You're all from industries that are difficult and trying, and certainly in the world that we're in at the moment. So I just wanted to kind of ask each of you, is there something that you're working on particularly, and bearing in mind how fast our world is changing with incoming of AI, digital acceleration, hybrid working spaces, everything. What is the thing that you are working on, or your organisation is working on, sort of to drive that inclusion journey for people with disabilities and their families, knowing that we're going to be doing this forever and for always? There's never going to be an end point, right? And it is step by step by step. But I'm going to come to you, Paul, first. You've kind of just come into this industry in the last 3 years, I think it is. You were originally with Virgin Airlines. So just tell me, what's happening with Pacific National that that you're proud of or that you're working on that's a great opportunity for the company and its people?
Yeah, it's a really good question. We're a very male-dominated industry and very old school in the culture, which is not unusual for long-dated railroads, freight railroad as well. I think the first thing to acknowledge is that there's a lot still in the category of we don't know what we don't know. So we've employed some wonderful resources, and some are here today representing us, to start the effort of finding out and making it easier for people to identify and tell us what's going on through engagement surveys, but also the resources that we're putting into this through the Disability and Access Network, so that we make it a safer place for people to identify. We have 1.3% of our workforce who have identified with a disability. So that's 45 in total out of our workforce, and only 9 who say they need an adjustment. I'm sure there's a lot more. And
yes,
I'm sure
because we estimate about 12 to 15% of all of our teams have a lived experience but aren't disclosing, right?
Absolutely. So setting up that safe space is very, very important, and then having the mechanisms for people to feel safe to tell us as well, and then to register it and record it and actually take action based on whatever it is we find out. But there is a recent example. We're spending or about to spend $9 million moving our headquarters in North Sydney. So that is going to be strongly impacted by our approach here. We are complying with the NCC code, and the Australian Standard 1428 is a big part of it. The Disability Discrimination Act is all front and centre in all of that, but also our internal networks, finding out what works for our current employees and then what would work for those that want to work for us that we haven't yet attracted. So through the work that our people are doing, there's going to be a much better, and I think we can all be more proud of the building, the environment that we're going to invite, not just our employees into, but any visitors that want to come and do business with us. So that's just one thing we're doing, but this extends out of the office as well. So it's about flexible working arrangements for those who, for example, might find it a little harder to get onto public transport in the circumstances they're in, being much more flexible about that, and also making sure that we focus not just on the bare minimum, but the dignity side of all of this as well, which we certainly do.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Quick question here. Do you take personal responsibility as the CEO of the business? Are there sort of targets that people report into you?
Yeah, so ultimately the CEO is responsible for everything that happens. And I once learned a phrase many years ago from a safety advisor who said, what my boss is interested in, I find completely fascinating.
It's the shadow and light of a leader. Right?
Yes, yeah. So showing interest in this, and I mentioned the P&A that we've created, which is it's not just a cultural blueprint, but it's got culture all the way through it, it's wired through it, is something that I live and breathe every day. And it's a half a chance of actually getting done properly if the CEO lives and breathes it every day.
Thank you. Paul, from freight to post, tell us, what's the thing that you're working on at the moment? I know we heard you talk about AI just there 2 nights ago, but what's the thing that you're really intrigued with that is going to benefit the business and the people?
Yeah, look, a couple of things. One, we've introduced an accessibility passport with an accessibility matters forum that I and the senior management meet with on a quarterly basis to get feedback as to what more we can do as an organisation. One of the things that we found was that people would stay in a role for a very long time, primarily because they were concerned about the difficulty in trying to change roles and their awkwardness of having to highlight again what needed to be changed. So we've introduced an electronic accessibility passport and a manual one as well that has a very detailed listing of all the specific requirements that individual has, whether it be the workstation, whether it be flexibility of work, whether it be taking time off to go to get medical appointments or treatment. And that means that when they apply then for a new role, the manager who's looking for that individual already knows all those requirements and signs off on that, so that when they start in that role, there's no, oh, you didn't tell me that, or I didn't realize that was the case, right? And we found that's really encouraged people to put their hand up and transition across the business. The second thing is we're a very operational driven business, a lot of parcel facilities, 2.5 billion parcels a year go through our network. work. And it's been a bit of an area where, well, we can't do anything there because it's safety and operational. And we've found ways to do it by simply asking ourselves, tell us how we can do it, not how we cannot do it. And our new facility in Perth, which we opened in December last year, we've got 17 people with significant hearing impairment, and they've got a buddy system. So if the alarm goes off for the safety incident, their buddy comes and grabs them. And it was great to see our new manager, or our manager at that site when we opened it, knowing that we were going to hire people with hearing disability, had learned Auslan, and on the first day she was actually talking to him in Auslan. So that shows that that energy and that encouragement spreads. And she is over the moon that she has learned a new skill, and they just felt so at home on the first day, and it was terrific to see how the site embraced them. So we're really challenging ourselves that even in operational areas that yes, can be days to have issues, that's find a way, and we're proving that we can do that. But it's a day-to-day proposition.
And can I just say, this accessibility passport you're speaking about, it is a huge game changer for any of us, the exhaustion of having to consistently advocate all the time. So, and is that for every single person in the organisation with lived experience, disability or otherwise, or for everyone?
No, everyone, but particularly obviously aimed at people with lived experience. And what we've also done is made that technology and that process available to any other corporate who wants to use it. And we've had fantastic feedback. People with a disability in our organisation have a longer tenure and have a better satisfaction rate when they say they enjoy working at Australia Post. One, because I think we are a great place to work, but two, as I said before, there's that real ingrained DNA about we do care, and we actually want to make that meaningful.
Brilliant, thank you. Vanessa, you probably are in the most challenging industry when it comes to passengers with disabilities or parents and family members who have a disabled person travelling with them. Okay, so breathe. Where are we at? And what is your piece that you're personally working on now? Because you're only enrolled 8 months. So where is it that you're going to be working on, or something that you're seeing begin in Qantas that will benefit all passengers?
So I'm sure everyone in this room have had either a positive or a difficult experience with an airline, because when you think about the complexity of getting a lot of people away in a big machine with big engines, with multiple providers in the journey, there are many challenges. But what we see, and how I see it, is we've got many opportunities, and we've got many opportunities to make things better. When you have so many opportunities, the key question that we ask ourselves is, well, where do you start? What do you prioritise?
Yep.
Making sure that you focus on the things that matter most is really important. And so last year we developed a diversity inclusion action plan, because I think it is also important to make that impact to either people who work in the organisation or customers, that there is structure to what you do. Because for us, we will be allocating capital to either change airports or to add additional resources, and it is actually really important that you're very considered in that process. And so the plan is a 3-year plan. I see some of our team here, and thank you for coming today, because the committee that we have around our diversity inclusion plan meets regularly. We have listening tools in which we're getting feedback from customers, getting feedback from employees, and having the really important debates internally around what is the priorities and where do we need to focus those efforts first. So for customers, we are absolutely looking at our digital channels. We're working with our airports. Airports is infrastructure that has been in place for decades.
Yeah.
And so we need to be working with all of our partners to make sure that curb to gate is as seamless as possible. The in-flight experience, we have our crew and all of our people undertake mandatory training to make sure that they understand how to support people with disabilities. We've actually just introduced the Sunflower program, which is a badge that customers and our people can wear if they suffer from a disability that's non-visible. And I think that that's actually really important, because many people get very stressed when they fly. There has been moments that I've been stressed when I fly.
Yeah.
And so actually having a way to identify that is really important. But also it's about creating the opportunities within the organisation to create those with disabilities to have an incredibly satisfying career in aviation, to feel supported. We've recently done some surveying of our people, and those who identify with a disability have the lowest scores of well-being. And so therefore, it's really important as leaders that we understand that, lean into what can make a difference, whether it be about the environment that we have at work, whether it be about the support services that we have, and we're really, really focused in doing that. And then finally, the communities that we serve. We're very passionate about the role that we play as the national carrier, and the communities that we support is very important. We're very excited in the next couple of months to be supporting the Paralympic team in getting to Paris and cheering on behind them. So there is lots more to do, and like you said, it will never be finished. And having that structure, process and executive sponsorship is really important.
I think there's no doubt, I think for people with disabilities, airports and airlines truly are the most complex of all, you know. And I would love, I think we would all love to see a standardised approach across all airlines and all airports. That would be phenomenal. So I know you've just stepped into the role, but I do think if we can get all airlines around the world to work together to help each other out, because the power, you cannot do this on your own. No Qantas can do this on their own. We need everybody working and sharing together. So,
well, we aspire at Qantas to set the standard.
Did we hear that? Did we?
You did.
Is anybody minuting that? Oh, no, we can't. Chatham House rules. But we heard it. We were all witnesses. Thank you. Setting the standard. Okay, David, over to you.
Yes.
Tell us what is the thing that you're innovating in, the thing that, because you have a long-standing commitment within Medibank, but tell us what's the kind of most innovative thing that you're working on at the moment.
Yeah, thanks. Well, look, it's been quite a journey over the last 8 to 10 years, I think. Embracing diversity and inclusion is in our DNA, but wasn't really part of the leadership focus. And it sort of feels a bit like what, you know, we started where you're starting, Vanessa, listening and learning to our customers, our people, people who are caring for people with disability, which is about 1 in 5 of our employees, and just deeply understanding what they liked, what they didn't like, what could help empower and provide agency. So we set up our first accessibility and inclusion plan probably 6 or 7 years ago, because if you don't measure it, things don't change. And we made some improvements. And we actually got great help by the Australian Disability Network on that plan.
It's okay to clap for that. Talk me through good.
We just had our second plan. We just had our second plan. But we also wanted to share our commitment. So I think we've had for about 5 years a sustainability report in which we share our measurable objectives that are set by the board, including all sorts of things, in particular accessibility and inclusion, our targets for recruitment, retention, employee experience. And so that really gets people interested in driving change, which I found really important. But look, things are slow and they take a lot of work sometimes, and we've just spent 2 years improving our recruitment process to systematically at each point create a safe environment for people who may have a disability and may need an adjustment to share with us without fear of that impacting the recruitment process. And actually we're really happy to get recognised as a disability confident recruiter only recently, which is we're very proud of. But it takes a bit of time and effort for people in the business. We've been really thinking about their experience. 6 or 7 years ago, the self-reporting was very low, and the experience was significantly lower than the rest of the population in the business. And again, systematically listening and learning and changing has been a big part of that. I think for us, there's been this concern, or there was some concern, that adjustments cost money. But actually, when you think about it, it's empowering people with agency and making an environment that's more flexible, provides people with the options to do their work when they want, where they want, even what work they want to do. And for us, that's been not just great to now see our reported share of employment at 6.7, I think what it was last time, with an objective to get it even higher. But I think the best thing is that it's really contributing to diversity in the culture, and the experience scores are now about the same. But what I'm really interested in next is what we haven't really done enough on is having career, very clearly called out career advancement opportunities that are specifically for people with a disability or lived experience. And I think we have that, but it's not systemic, it's not reported. And I'm very curious about what we're doing next to lift the bar on that. But I completely agree with the notion that even in recruitment, even in experience, even with carers, with customers, where we now have quite a different experience with those with disability, the bar just is never high enough. And to me, it's just setting up both the hearts, which is sharing the benefits and the experiences of people who have lived experience, but also the head, which is externally published measurable objectives in KPIs for leaders, and making sure the organisation actually sort of walks the talk.
I love it. Measurement, systemic, love it, love it. Thank you so much. Leah, I'm coming to you. First of all, I just want to say huge congratulations to your organisation last night for winning an award.
Thank you.
And this is when we're talking about measurement. It's really, really important. So what is it that you're really excited about, that you're innovating in the space?
Well, thank you for the congratulations. And I might actually just start that as a reflection, because we've been on this journey as an organisation now for probably 8 years. And the first year where we had our accessibility plan in place, which we go back 8 years ago, I think we came 10th on that index.
It wasn't bad, right?
Wasn't bad, but I don't think there were many people participating.
Okay, so we're talking 12.
We might have been 10 out of 10 or 10 out of 12, yeah. Whereas, now, thankfully, it is a really big deal to get a position in that top 10 on that index. And what we have been really focused on as an organisation is every year lifting the bar. So we continue to climb up and up and up that index. So, every couple of years we've gone up a couple of spots, and then a couple more the couple of years later type of thing. So we're very proud that last night we finally hit the top of the list. But that journey that we've been on, I would say that we actually started quite small. And I like to think of it as we kind of started of where we were at, because it was such a big beast to tackle. I mean, we have 17 million customers that come through our stores every week.
Huge.
17 million every week. And if you just